We take you to Mali next, where a blockade on fuel imports posed by jihadi militants continues. That blockade then posing a major setback for Mali's military junta, as the country relies on those fuel imports from both neighbouring Senegal and Ivory Coast. The Al-Qaeda-backed militant group known as the JNIM imposed that blockade after authorities reduced fuel supplies to remote areas to force jihadists from their hideouts. Among the growing tensions, the government has ordered schools and embassies to close their doors. Let's bring you more on what's going on the ground in Mali. Wassim Nasr joins us in the studio. Wassim, great to have you. Is Bamako, it's the question many people are asking, on the verge of falling into the hands of the JNIM jihadists?
Well, actually, what made people worry about Bamako is actually an attack. We have the footage of this attack, which took place like less than 20 kilometers away from Bamako. But when you see the footage of this attack, here it is, we see that it's also in the effort of the JNIM to impose its blocus on the capital. As we speak, JNIM alone cannot go and conquer, between brackets, Bamako alone. But it could happen if JNIM succeeds in making a coalition with other parties, other opponents to the actual regime, creating like a kind of a coalition which would lead to Islamic governance, which itself will lead JNIM a bit away or one step away from Al-Qaeda. You see, because we're still talking about an offshoot of Al-Qaeda. So today, as we speak, militarily they cannot, but they are working on a coalition. They are talking to opponents in Bamako, in Mali, and even in exile. And people are starting to think how to create a dynamic which will make the military, force the military to leave power. But we also know that if the military collapse from the inside, it could create chaos, which would lead to a direct intervention of local JNIM commanders, which already are on the posts around the capital.
I mean, if we think back to when this blockade was put in place, it's not new as such. It's been in place since September, but it's, of course, causing real problems for the military junta. What stage is this blockade at now? How much impact is it causing?
Well, actually, it's still on. We're more than 2 months since the beginning of the blockade. From my own sources, I got to know that the blockade still is upholded by JNIM, and the objective of the jihadis is to push for the fall of the military junta in power today. We have footage of an attack. We have actually this map first, and we see that the roads are blocked. And we know also that bus companies are forbidden from taking militaries on, plus the problem of gas oil. And we know that, for example, JNIM imposed his own conditions on those companies. We have footage of an attack on the road from Sikasso, which means that all the roads that lead to Bamako to provide gas oil for Bamako are blocked. So maybe we can look at this footage on the road of Sikasso. And at the same time, attacks are still ongoing in areas like San. We have footage of an attack in San on the 14th of October, meaning they are capable of putting the blockade, but also of conducting attacks. We have the attacks, also the attack that occurred in Benena on the border with Burkina Faso. And the interesting thing about Benena, we also can see the footage, is that jihadis go through the civilians. We're talking about creating a coalition, creating acceptance among civilians. We see them roaming in the town among civilians, and civilians are not fleeing. You know, this is very significant. It's very significant, actually. And they still have their training camps. We have photos of their training camps actually all over the country.
One thing that's caused quite a lot of attention is these 2 Emirati hostages, 1 Iranian hostage. They were released without any official communication from the military junta. What does that tell us, Wassim?
Well, actually, it tells us that the Emiratis and the Malian did not wish to make a fuss about this liberation, if I may say so, because one of the persons who were abducted is Jum'a bin Maktub al-Maktoum. He's a retired general. He's part of the ruling family in Dubai, and we know that he wasn't just a tourist in Mali. He was also part of the gold business. They were freed on the night of the 31st of October. Many contradictory information about this liberation, but at the end of the day, we got to know that it was through merchants and traffickers in Mali that the deal was done, and we know that a bounty of 50 million a ransom of $50 million was paid, and that 20 tons of ammunition will be provided in exchange. Some people say that no ammunition will be provided, that another additional 20 million is going to be paid. But the fact is, they got freed for this highest ransom ever, which poses real questions about Emirati presence in Africa, because for friends and foes, an Emirati becomes an asset for such a huge, historic ransom. Actually, jihadis were liberated from Malian prisons, but from our own sources, I got to know that those liberations are not connected with the deal about the Emiratis, that other negotiations are being conducted with Bamako in this regard.
All right, Wassim, bringing us the latest on that very complex situation on the ground in Mali. For now, Wassim, thanks very much.
Thank you.